pushes the throttle forward. It's 55, more throttle. It's 60, it bounces to 65, it's 70, it's 75, and I believe we are airborne. We were really up in the air. And I don't know whether, Howard, did you expect that?
5. Howard Robard Hughes Jr. is born. It's a difficult birth, and doctors advise his mother not to have any more children. The roots of much of Hughes' personality can be traced to his father, an expansive, risk-taking, larger-than-life entrepreneur who pursues a colorful career in mining and oil wildcatting. Young Howard idolizes his father, but where the older Hughes is outgoing and popular, Sonny is gangly, tall, shy, and withdrawn. Hughes' mother, Aline, is a quite different influence on her son's forming personality. Extremely protective of her only child, she will not allow her Sonny to spend a single night away from her until he is 10 years old. It's possible that the hypochondria that will haunt Hughes during the last years of his life can be traced to his mother's exaggerated concern for her young Sonny's health. The two were certainly close. But mother and son were to be suddenly separated when Howard is 16. At 39, Aline Hughes dies from complications during a routine gynecological procedure. Young Howard has hardly recovered from this devastating loss when a year and a half later, he is hit again. During a business trip, Howard Hughes Sr. dies suddenly of a heart attack at age 54. Hughes is alone in the world at the age of 18, but to everyone's surprise, the shy teenager tenaciously asserts himself to gain control of his father's company, worth more than $500,000. Hughes wants the world to know that he is his own man. An uncle, Rupert Hughes, a well-known writer in town, helps his ambitious 19-year-old nephew put together his first picture. As one of Hollywood's top independent producers at age 22, Hughes has even greater movie-making ambitions. The film is a World War I adventure, Hell's Angels. Hughes insists on complete authenticity. He assembles a private air force of World War I veterans and refuses to use models in the dangerous aerial sequences. The result is some of the most death-defying flying and spectacular aerial photography ever put on film. The young producer demands that all the dogfights be photographed against fluffy white cumulus clouds, rare in sunny Southern California, so the entire production packs up and moves north. When it's finished, Hell's Angels is one of the most expensive pictures of its time. Hughes is so driven, he even takes over the controls of one of the planes to demonstrate what he wants, and is forced to make a dangerous crash landing. His compulsion for perfection almost cost him his life, and it won't be the last time. What caused the young Hughes to drive himself so hard? When sound takes Hollywood by storm, he boldly decides to make Hell's Angels a talkie at a total cost of $4 million, the equivalent of $20 million today. With her heavy Scandinavian accent, Greta Nissen can't play an American, so Hughes has to replace his leading lady in the remake. He gambles on an unknown actress who has only appeared as an extra in short comedy films. Her name is Jean Harlow. Under Hughes' watchful eye, Jean Harlow emerges as one of the biggest stars in movie history. Howard Hughes' new discovery becomes his first Hollywood sex symbol. Hell's Angels is destined to become a Hollywood classic, but as usual, Hughes leaves nothing to chance.
For the first time in history, Vine Street and Hollywood Boulevard have been made into one-way streets for 2 miles through the heart of Hollywood.
As this rare footage reveals, the premiere of Hell's Angels on June 30th, 1930 is an awesome show.
100,000 people are crowding the streets to get a glimpse of the stars and celebrities. $50.
He may appear shy, but the young producer has inherited his father's flair for promotion. Hughes never shows up at the opening, but all Hollywood is at his feet.
This is the opening of Hell's Angels.
Astonishing footage like this is the reason for all the excitement.
They're done for. Look out! Run!
After the tremendous success of Hell's Angels, Hughes produces a string of movies. At 26, Howard Hughes has conquered Hollywood, a dashing young man with an active and varied life. One of his oldest passions is golf. As these rare films from Hughes' private vault show, even here he continues his search for perfection. Since he was a teenager, Hughes was determined to become an expert golfer. Foreshadowing today's instant replay, he displayed his inventive imagination by photographing his swing in slow motion to perfect his game. Hughes placed in a state amateur open in 1926, but he never achieved his boyhood goal of becoming a world champion golfer. But with a second lifelong enthusiasm, aviation, Howard Hughes became one of the greatest legends of all time. Ever since his first airplane ride at the age of 14, Howard Hughes has had a love of flight. He earns his pilot's license at age 22. Since Hughes has always felt more comfortable with machines, flying alone in total control of the ultimate machine of his day, he finds a happiness he's never known before. At a time when many flying records are held by other nations, Hughes believes America should be first in the air. And he's the one to do it. To gain experience, he signs on as a commercial co-pilot with American Airways under the name of Charles Howard. Anxious to create better and faster aircraft, Hughes uses his gift for designing to modify existing planes and wins the All-American Sportsman's Aerial Competition in 1934. Hughes is so demanding, he forms Hughes Aircraft to build experimental planes with more sophisticated design and greater speed. The company is destined to become one of the giants of the modern aerospace industry. On September 13th, 1935, Hughes prepares to test fly his revolutionary aircraft, the H-1.
It has been built to submit to the government as a pursuit ship for the U.S. Army. And if accepted, I think will be the fastest military plane for the next 2 years at least.
Hughes and his H-1 set a land speed record of 350 miles an hour, but then trouble develops with a clogged fuel line. Instead of bailing out and losing the plane, he makes a dangerous belly landing in a beet field. As this rare film from Hughes' private vault shows, even after another close call, Hughes remains a perfectionist image maker, repeating his speech until he creates exactly the impression he wants. This is the version he finally uses.
This beet field is not a very appropriate setting for this little airplane, which is the new holder of the world's land plane speed record. Its forced landing here was caused by motor failure while it was being clocked by the National Aeronautical Association at an average speed of approximately 350 miles an hour.
Surprisingly, the U.S. government rejects Hughes' superb H-1 design, but the Japanese base their Zero fighter on the aircraft. In his innovative aircraft, Hughes sets transcontinental records and receives the 1937 Harmon Trophy for outstanding achievements in flight from President Roosevelt. But there's one record left to be broken. A flight around the world is the ultimate in aviation. July 10, 1938. Hughes and his four-man crew take off from New York in a redesigned Lockheed 14 named the 1939 New York World's Fair. At their first stop, Le Bourget Field outside Paris, the heroic flyers are greeted just as Lindbergh had been a decade earlier. 3 days, 19 hours, and 17 minutes after takeoff, Hughes returns to New York with a new around-the-world record. Police hold back thousands who've come to see him. Even after this monumental accomplishment, Hughes is still the conscious image maker, accepting Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia's greeting with humble modesty.
I thank you. I really should extend to these other men rather than me.
A national hero, the young flyer is given a triumphal ticker tape parade. For once, the shy Private Hughes basks in the spotlight as 500,000 people cheering. At age 32, Howard Hughes is the greatest aviator in the world. He was a millionaire, movie producer, daring aviator, national hero. It's hardly surprising that after his divorce from his first wife in 1929, Howard Hughes quickly becomes America's most eligible bachelor. Like his father, Hughes always had an appreciation of beautiful women. Caught in a playful mood in these rare home movies taken during a party at Hearst Castle in 1930, Hughes appears to have a special relationship with Katharine Hepburn. Both are independent, private persons who share an interest in golf and aviation. Hughes gives her flying lessons. Reporters follow them everywhere. Rumors abound that they're secretly married. Whatever the facts, these two pictures of Katharine Hepburn are the only photos Hughes keeps in his private collection of any woman aside from his mother. Despite Hughes' Casanova reputation, there is no romance with the woman most often associated with his name, Jane Russell. Hughes seems to have an attraction to dark-haired brunettes who resemble his mother. Always on the lookout for new stars, he discovers Jane Russell at age 19 working as a dental assistant. He casts her in a Western, The Outlaw. With The Outlaw, Hughes sets out to push back the barriers of censorship.
I had no idea they were going to do that kind of a publicity campaign, but they did. There was nothing in the role that I didn't, that I objected to. It was strictly the publicity, the billboards, the paintings, and a lot of them they're not photographs at all, they're paintings.
With his legendary ability to create superstars, a meeting with Howard Hughes could be an intimidating experience for an actress. When it comes to romance, Hughes seems to enjoy the chase more than the conquest. An example, New Year's Eve, 1953. At the Beverly Hills Hotel, Hughes makes simultaneous dates with 3 actresses, including Susan Hayward. But Hayward gets past Hughes' paid guards and catches him with one of the other women. All 3 walk out on him. Hughes enjoys combining his Hollywood showmanship and his other great love, aviation. He pilots his famous Constellation, the most successful passenger plane in history until the jet age, on a cross-country flight with a star-studded passenger list. In 1939, Hughes' visionary investment of $6 million in TWA would eventually net him over $500 million. With the outbreak of World War II, Hughes, with his acknowledged leadership in aviation, receives 2 government contracts for military planes. One is the XF-11 for aerial reconnaissance. The other is the Spruce Goose flying boat, intended to carry troops and supplies to the battlefields of Europe. Due to wartime materiel shortages, the flying boat has to be made of wood, demanding the development of new manufacturing technologies. But Hughes' painstaking attention to detail soon causes production to lag far behind. While pressures build on the perfectionist Hughes, he has another narrow escape from death. He crashes an experimental amphibious plane in Lake Mead, Nevada. Hughes has only minor injuries, but 2 other men are killed. Deep psychological forces seem to be driving Howard Hughes to the brink. Approaching age 39, could Hughes be thinking of his long-dead mother? July 7, 1946. As always, Hughes insists on taking the risk of trying out his latest plane, the XF-11. Flying over a heavily populated part of the city, problems develop with his plane's uniquely designed propellers. He's forced to crash land in Beverly Hills, hitting 4 houses. Miraculously, no one is killed. It's Hughes' 5th plane crash, and his most serious. Hughes' injuries are so severe, his doctors are uncertain he'll survive. But amazingly, he does, and even designs a movable bed to alleviate his pain. Then, without letting his injuries completely heal, he insists on flying the XF-11 again. The test flight is a success, but Hughes is a changed man. Left with damaged hearing and a legacy of pain, he'll soon be addicted to the codeine doctors prescribed during his recovery. The boyish charm is gone. Howard Hughes is only 41, but looks much older. And he has yet to face the biggest battle of his life. After World War II, the Spruce Goose is still unfinished. Hughes is called to Washington to face a congressional committee investigating wartime profiteering headed by Republican Senator Owen Brewster. With the whole country watching, Hughes takes on the politicians. His pride and reputation are on the line.
Let us examine my reputation. I am supposed to do many things which are not complimentary. I am supposed to be capricious. I have been called a playboy, and I have been called eccentric. But I do not believe I have the reputation of being a liar. I don't think the public should be led to believe that I made $15 million on war contracts when I did not. Now, furthermore, Senator, if I didn't make a little money somewhere, how could I put $9 million into the flying boat? I put the sweat of my life into this thing. I have my reputation rolled up in it, and I have stated several times that if it's a failure, I'll probably leave this country and never come back, and I mean it.
Hughes' performance makes him a national hero, but he wants vindication. To finally answer his critics, Hughes invites the press to witness taxiing tests of the flying boat on November 2nd, 1947.
Pushes the throttle forward. It's 55, more throttle. It's 60, it bounces to 65, it's 70, it's 75, and I believe we are airborne. We were really up in the air. And I don't know whether, Howard, did you expect that? Exactly, I like to make surprises.
After the surprising short flight, Hughes seems vindicated, but he will never fly the Spruce Goose again. The plane is moved to a special hangar where it is hidden from public view, secretly maintained at a cost of $1 million a year. For many, the flying boat will come to symbolize its creator, unique, larger than life, and mysteriously hidden away. Hughes' personal habits begin to become more erratic and bizarre. He devotes himself to a new goal, becoming the richest man in the world. Even though his behavior is strange and erratic, Hughes has periods when he brilliantly controls his empire. In 1966, he suddenly sells his TWA stock for $500 million, leaving California never to return. It takes one of the most fantastic episodes of an already incredible life to bring Howard Hughes out of his self-imposed confinement, the Clifford Irving hoax. But in a dramatic phone call from his Bahamas hideaway, Hughes' outraged response is only heard as an eerie, disembodied voice during a hastily called press conference.
One final question, Howard. Are you happy?
I'm not very happy, I'll tell you that. The impediments upon my freedom and activities imposed by all of this litigation, all these matters are very draining. So, well, your question was, am I happy and content? The answer is no.
Suffering from malnutrition and lack of proper care, the aging recluse is carried on board an emergency flight to Houston for medical treatment. It is too late. On April 5th, 1976, Howard Robart Hughes dies in flight. One of the best known and most impressive monuments to the memory of Howard Hughes is found here in the city of Long Beach, California, a short distance from Los Angeles. This is the largest airplane ever built, the Hughes Flying Boat. Like its designer, the flying boat is audacious in almost every way and surrounded by controversy and mystery. Nicknamed the Spruce Goose because its enormous body is built from wood, this incredible aircraft has a wingspan longer than a football field and is constructed to carry twice the capacity of today's jumbo jets. Yet it was built 40 years ago. Even today, the spirit of Howard Hughes seems to haunt the cavernous spaces of his creation. The man and his flying machine seem strangely linked. What were the events and emotions that created this incredibly complex man? Howard Hughes leaves an incalculable fortune, but his real legacy is the contributions he made to America's future in aerospace, aviation, electronics, and communications. The psychodynamics of his life, and flawed though he may be, Hughes is one of the rugged individualist Renaissance men who catapulted the United States to world leadership during the 20th century. Mostly self-taught, this quiet wildcatter's son became a renowned pilot, aeronautics designer, world-famous showman, and builder of one of history's greatest personal fortunes. Howard Hughes was an authentic genius, a visionary, an American legend.
Let us examine my reputation. I am supposed to do many things which are not complimentary. I am supposed to be capricious. I have been called a playboy, and I have been called eccentric. But I do not believe I have the reputation of being a liar. I don't think the public should be led to believe that I made $15 million on war contracts.
This was brought to you from John Wayne's 26 Bar Ranch in Eager, Arizona.